Renegades of Puck to the trenches. It's time for Renegades of Puck TV. Welcome to the bunker. Welcome to the essence of no half-stepping. I'm your host and captain, Crazy Charlie Saunier, and before we get started on no half-stepping hockey coverage, I'd like to instruct you to go to renegadesofpuck.com. You'll learn everything you need to know about the Renegades of Puck once you're at our home website, and once you click on the merchandise link, you will see all of the incredible gimmicks that we have in our store. The classic logo t-shirt and the Pride logo t-shirt that you see me wearing right here in the bunker, those are just the gateway drugs into the Renegades of Puck online shopping experience. Throw pillows, socks, wall art, bed sets, it makes no difference to the Renegades of Puck. If it exists, we'll put our logo on it. We have 55 gimmicks in our store already. We've sold out, so you can buy in Renegades of Puck. Every dollar made in profit through the merchandise goes directly to the Renegades of Puck. So stick taps, love, and respect to each and every one of you for picking up some of that merchandise. Social media is of critical importance to an operation of this size, and in just about 6 months of operation, we have done a pretty good job, but we can always continue growing and we can always continue to do a little bit better. That's why I appreciate each and every one of you Renegades and your recruiting efforts out there bringing Renegades of Puck to the trenches. Please go to YouTube and give us a subscription right there. Now 127 subscriptions, and we are continuing to add those one by one, and we sure do appreciate each and every one of you. Welcome to our new subscribers. Once those links for Renegades of Puck TV are available on YouTube, we sure would appreciate it if you would take those and share them in your Facebook feed. If Facebook isn't your preferred social media platform, then please go to Twitter. You can find all of the Renegades of Puck on Twitter. Very interactive. It is one of our preferred platforms. You can also find the Renegades of Puck on Instagram, and in classic podcast format, you can find the Renegades of Puck audio-only presentation on SoundCloud. Our behind-the-scenes live stream, our Twitch community, it is getting bigger, it's getting better, and it is more fun all the time. If there are any F-bombs, mistakes, or second takes, you'll find them right there on our Twitch feed. We've been doing something very neat over there. We've been going plug to plug, which gets you the opportunity to see everything behind the scenes, from setting the studio up to rehearsing and practicing to getting on the air, recording the entire episode of Renegades of Puck TV, and then breaking down the entire set. We also share bonus content and some stories, and now it's totally interactive. So if you're following us along on our Twitch stream, you can be asking me questions, making comments, and I can be responding to you live on Renegades of Puck TV. So again, there are many ways to consume the essence of no half-stepping, and we would appreciate if you would choose your favorite, or we would love it if you would follow them all. You can become a partner of the Renegades of Puck by going to Venmo and just searching Renegades of Puck, or easier than that, scan the QR code that's on your screen right now. Any donation that you make towards the Renegades of Puck goes directly to the Renegades of Puck. We've had some incredible mysterious benefactors out there that have really helped us out. We have upgraded some technology here in the studio behind the scenes, and we are looking to continue doing that. Our live streaming and some other efforts, we are continuing to grow those and make those bigger and better all the time, and that is all thanks to your generosity and thanks to the Renegades of Puck. Built by Renegades of Puck for Renegades of Puck. That's exactly how we will become a force for positivity. So thank each and every one of you for becoming a partner of the Renegades of Puck. Now, I know that you're here for the no half-step in hockey coverage, and I am ready to deliver the goods like no one else can. So let's get in the trenches for operation number 634. That's right, show number 634 for the Renegades of Puck. On this date in hockey history, the Nashville Predators have found themselves in fourth place in the Central Division. They have played 72 games on the season. They have a record of 41-26-5. 87 points has them 7 points behind third place St. Louis, also 7 points behind second place Minnesota, and 23 points behind the clinched first place Colorado Avalanche. Now, for the Nashville Predators, what is most important now are the teams behind them in the standings. And the Dallas Stars, at the end of tonight's action, find themselves just 1 point behind the Nashville Predators. The Winnipeg Jets have also secured a victory and are now 8 points behind the Nashville Predators and are still mathematically alive. I cannot say the same about the Chicago Blackhawks nor the Arizona Coyotes. The wild card race also now becomes much more important than the Central Division race as we approach the final 10 games of the regular season. The Nashville Predators are still the number one wild card team in the Western Conference. 87 points, 10 games remaining. Dallas 1 point behind holds the second wild card spot, also 10 games remaining. The Vegas Golden Knights have 84 points and 9 games remaining, and Vancouver is currently in fourth with 80 points and 9 games remaining. Now remember, the Nashville Predators do hold a 1 point lead over the Dallas Stars, but both of those teams are playoff teams at this time, and both hold wild card positions. So the Nashville Predators, while they are competing with the Dallas Stars to avoid a first-round best-of-7 with the Colorado Avalanche, the Nashville Predators are fending off and holding off the Vegas Golden Knights, who are 3 points behind the Nashville Predators. You'll hear a lot of people make that mistake tomorrow, saying that the Nashville Predators have a 1 point lead for a playoff position. No, they have a 3 point lead, and they also have more games remaining than the team that they need to eliminate. Brian Basson will be here shortly to update you on the Nashville Predators magic number. So that gets you all caught up on the standings. Now, let's talk about the Nashville Predators and their next game. It will be on home ice against the San Jose Sharks at Bridgestone Arena. The Nashville Predators have a record of 22-12-0, and they are starting a big-time homestand that will lead to the conclusion of the regular season. Thursday, the Edmonton Oilers. Saturday, the Chicago Blackhawks. Sunday, the St. Louis Blues. And then on the 19th, the Calgary Flames. All on this 5-game homestand before the Nashville Predators head off on their next and one of their final road games of the season on the 23rd at Tampa Bay. Now, for the Nashville Predators welcoming in the Sharks, it'll be the third and final time these two teams have met this season. The San Jose Sharks have visited Nashville already, and their visit did not go very well back in October. On the 26th of October, it was the Predators scoring a 3-1 victory on Bridgestone Arena ice. UC Saros the victory, making 28 saves on 29 shot attempts. Forsberg, Granlund, and Duchesne each with a goal apiece. Now, the Nashville Predators would go to San Jose for one and only trip this year, and the Sharks fans are probably plenty happy to not see the Preds again. It was an 8-0 victory in favor of the Nashville Predators, one of the most lopsided victories in franchise history. UC Saros gets the shutout, only needing to make 20 saves. It was Duchesne, Luff, and McCarron each with 2 goals in this game. The captain, Roman Josi, had 4 assists, so the Nashville Predators have 4 points out of a possible 4 so far against San Jose, can pick up 6 points out of a possible 6 if they win this next game. Injuries for the Nashville Predators are starting to be a difficulty, and again, it is on the defense core. McCarron is out week to week at center, but the Nashville Predators have been able to fill in at forward without a problem. Borowiecki now leaves the game tonight. We will recap and give you exactly what happened. We do not know at this time his status for the next game for the Nashville Predators. Now, the Nashville Predators' next opponent, the San Jose Sharks, they are coming to a conclusion and just about to get the little E next to their name. They are 7th overall in the Pacific Division with only 67 points on the season, but still an NHL club, which means they are dangerous on any given night. An overall record of 29-33-9, a road record of 16-16-5, and a minus 42 goal differential on the season. Taking a look inside their most recent play on the 31st of March, it was a 4-2 loss at the Calgary Flames. On the 2nd of April, a 5-4 loss versus the Dallas Stars. On the 5th of April, a 2-1 overtime loss versus the Edmonton Oilers. The 7th of April saw a 4-2 loss versus Calgary in their most recent game. On the 9th of April, was a 4-2 loss at the Vancouver Canucks. Taking a look inside the NHL rankings in this matchup between these two Western Conference clubs, the Nashville Predators lead in goals for per game by quite a wide margin. 3.25 goals per game is 11th best in the NHL, while the San Jose Sharks at 2.59 are 30th out of 32 clubs. Goals against, the Nashville Predators also lead in this statistical metric at 2.89. That is 13th best in the league, while the San Jose Sharks are giving up 3.18 per game. That is 21st. Shots for, the Nashville Predators actually lead a team in this statistical metric. We haven't seen that very many times. Still 23rd overall in the NHL, only generating 29.6 per game, while the San Jose Sharks are 27th in the league, generating 29.4 in shots against. The Nashville Predators, again, leading this statistical metric. They're 19th, while San Jose is 20th. And in special teams, you would think the Nashville Predators would have the biggest disparity right here, but they do not. As a matter of fact, you will see 2 top 6 specialty units meeting up against each other in this game. Let me explain. The Nashville Predators have the 6th best power play in the entire NHL. They've converted 54 times on 222 opportunities, or 24.3%. Flip over to the other side and look at San Jose's penalty kill. They have the third best penalty kill overall in the NHL at 85%. They've only given up 27 power play goals against. So for the Nashville Predators, it is going to be difficult for their power play to go up against the penalty kill of the Sharks. The Sharks' power play, though, is not very good in the lower third of the league at 23rd. They've only scored 37 times, and they've only drawn 196 opportunities on the season. The Preds' penalty kill is 15th overall. And, of course, every single team in the NHL has high-skilled individuals, so there is no doubt. You look over on the side of the San Jose Sharks statistical measures, and Timo Meier at 31 goals and 39 assists for 70 points is playing very good hockey and usually does very good against the Nashville Predators, as well as Thomas Hertl, 28 goals and 31 assists for 59 points. Logan Couture, 23 and 26 for 49. Burns, 9 and 38 for 47. Barbanoff, 10 and 27 for 37. Typically, almost all of these players are very good against the Nashville Predators. In net, Reimer has a record of 18, 16, and 7, a save percentage of .915, a goals against average of 2.77. Looking over on the Nashville Predators side, and this is updated stats after the game in Pittsburgh, Roman Jossi's got 19 goals and 68 assists for 87 points. Matt Duchene's now at 38 goals and 37 assists. Of course, at 38 goals is tied with Philip Forsberg for the team lead and is also the current franchise record all time. So Matt Duchene tied with Philip Forsberg at 38 goals. Duchene has 75 points. Forsberg has 71 points. Johansson, 22 goals and 34 assists for 56 points. Granlund has 9 goals and 44 assists for 53 points. And Tanner Jeannot, 24 goals and 17 assists for 41 points. UC Saros, the starting netminder of the Nashville Predators, holds a record of 35, 22, and 3, and 9.21 save percentage, and a 2.55 goals against average. For the Nashville Predators, it is simple. It is the beginning of the biggest homestand of the season. At this point in time, with 10 games to go, everything is the biggest of the season. So for the Nashville Predators in a 5-game homestand and a whole bunch of Western Conference teams coming to Bridgestone Arena, the Nashville Predators still control their own destiny. They are currently sitting in the number 1 wildcard spot in the Western Conference. Handle their business and take care of it, especially at Bridgestone Arena, and the Nashville Predators will find themselves securely in a Western Conference playoff berth. It's now time for the Rebirth Sports full game recap. Rebirth Sports, check out their work, rebirthsports.com, or find them on social media. Of course, you can find them on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Rebirth Sports, they are not just jersey makers, they are hockey tailors, and they can outfit your entire operation. You have seen me representing in the threads from Rebirth Sports for so many years, whether it's here on set in the bunker wearing the home, away, or third jersey of the Renegades of Puck, or if it's out there on the ice in rec league play for the Mighty Drunks, winning Stanley Kegs and competing and bringing the jam on a weekly basis. Also plenty of charity events, tournaments, and even the United States Pond Hockey Championships on Lake Nokomis. Wherever I go, wherever I skate, people always want to know, where did you get those fine threads? And it's the easiest answer in the world, and I love talking about it. I got them from Rebirth Sports, and you can too. Outfit your entire hockey operation today with Rebirth Sports. They're great people. They make a great product, and I'm incredibly proud to have them as partners of the Renegades of Puck. Now, let's get to that recap that they sponsor. And let's go back to this date in hockey history. It was the 10th of April in the year of 2022, and the Nashville Predators were in Pittsburgh to take on the Penguins, closing out the regular season series. John Hines deployed his lines on the second day of back-to-backs in the following format: Forsberg, Tolvanen, and Tomasino, Tolvanen, Granlund, and Duchene. Trennan, Sissons, and Jeannot, Cousins, Cunnin, and Luff make up your fourth line. A little bit of switch up on the defensive pairings as Josi is now skating with Luzon in this game. Ekholm and Carrier and Borowiecki and Benning back together on the third defensive pairing. So no Dante Fabro in this game. Big save Dave Riddick gets the opportunity in the second day of back-to-backs to get the start against the Pittsburgh Penguins. And it's just 2:21 into the game when Big Save Dave is coming up with his first save on Sidney Crosby, but 4:58 into the first period. Sidney Crosby would be beating Big Save Dave Riddick with his 27th goal of the season. It was Raquel with the perfect setup to a crashing Sidney Crosby for a rather easy finish for a player of his skill level. The Pittsburgh Penguins have a 1-0 lead on home ice against the Nashville Predators. 12:20 of the first period, we see DeSmith come up with a save on the captain, Roman Josi, at 17:48. We see Riddick come up with a save on Crosby's one-timer at 17:59. DeSmith comes up with a save on Sissons, but then at 18:49, Nashville Predators offense was generating shots, but not really getting great opportunities. Then Matt Duchene comes up with an incredible opportunity, and it's his 38th goal of the season, tying the game up at 1-1. 1 apiece. Mikhail Granlund springs Matt Duchene on the long pass, and he exercises some patience, ends up getting the empty net as he outweights the goaltender and goes with the easy finish. Tying this game up with 1 apiece, we hit the intermission and catch these shots on goal. The Nashville Predators are out shooting the Pittsburgh Penguins 11-3. When the Pittsburgh Penguins scored at 4:58 of the first period, that was their second shot on goal. So only 1 shot on goal from 4:58 until the intermission of the first period. On a clean sheet on the second period, let's see if things would develop any differently. 32 seconds into the second period, and it's to Smith coming up with a big save on Sissons. Colton Sissons and the herd line were certainly noticeable in this game, especially early on. 2:49 of the second period, Riddick's coming up with a save on Gensel, and Pittsburgh is following up with sustained pressure. I don't know how long it lasted, but I know it was incredibly intense and stressful for several minutes for the Nashville Predators there. 3:47 of the second period, to Smith stops Trennan, then robs Jeannot with the toe on the rebound. This was a 5-star save that deserves to make every single highlight reel. And to Smith just coming up with an incredible play right here. At 7:54 of the second period, Jeannot's got an open ice hit on Letang that sends the veteran all-star just flying. Then as he's heading back to center ice, Matheson wants a little piece, and he gets more than a piece. He gets the whole thing. The two of them have a go. 5 minutes piece off to the box at 8:57 of the second. Riddick comes up with a save on Pettersson. 10:24 carries off the box. 2 minutes 4. Hooking, big save. Dave comes up with a save on Malkin with the blocker. Then he comes up with an additional save on Raquel before the end of the penalty kill for the Nashville Predators. At 12:39, the Nashville Predators are going to get an opportunity to go on the power plays. Captain's off the box. 2 minutes 4 interference. He took an odd angle, drove the shoulder into Carrier, and that's not how you do it. So he's off to the penalty box. But the Nashville Predators are unable to convert as the Smith comes up with a save on Duchene on the Nashville Predators' best scoring opportunity over those 2 minutes. 15:48 of the second period, Riddick comes up with a save on Pettersson again. 16:28, Letang's off the box. 2 minutes 4, tripping on Forsberg right off of the face-off play. DeSmith comes up with a big save on Yossi's heavy shot. The Nashville Predators unable to generate any other significant scoring opportunities. 18:57 in the second period, Riddick comes up with a glove save on Matheson, who was driving hard towards the net. 19:06, Riddick again, another save on Gensel, and at the 20-minute mark, that's right, just at the end of the second period, as the buzzer goes off, we see Evgeny Malkin slash, then cross-check Mark Borowiecki in the face, and the last thing we see before the telecast heads off to commercial at the intermission is that Borowiecki is clearly a bloody mess, and there is clearly a significant amount of blood coming out of his mouth. Officially at the end of the intermission, the shots on goal are 23-15, but as soon as they go to the broadcast booth in the intermission, which is just seconds later, which of course includes Wayne Gretzky, every single one of the players on there unanimously agrees that the play that happened here at the end of the second period is not only a suspendable offense, but will be a suspendable offense, and what they said would vary between 2 and 10 games in suspension for Evgeny Malkin. The more times you see it, the more enraged you're going to get. The slash that goes completely uncalled in the initial part of it, and then the two-hand cross-check straight to Mark Borowiecki's mouth. Mark Borowiecki is a tough customer, and there is no doubt that he is out there playing incredibly hard and incredibly physical. But at no point does any player deserve to have a cross-check delivered with such force to the face directly. We would find out as the intermission played out and the discussion continued. Again, every one of these analysts, and some of them are pretty well-known NHL players, said and recommended that this would be a suspension. Will it be a suspension by the Department of Player Safety? If it is, then what I am about to tell you next is the most insane thing of all, because we would find out that Evgeny Malkin would receive only 4 minutes for high sticking. Absolutely nothing on the slash. And to his credit, Nashville Predators television play-by-play Willie Donick is still on the internet at the time of this recording trying to find out exactly why the slash wasn't called. We're all trying to find out. That was as obvious as can be. They called Mark Borowiecki for a slash on this play, but they did not call Malkin for the slash where he took Borowiecki's stick out of his hand. They did give him 4 minutes for cross-checking to the head. So the Nashville Predators have a 2-minute power play, and when the Department of Player Safety does end up suspending Malkin, I'm going to be 10 times more enraged than I am at this point in time. We got to get back to the game recap, though, and we'll put that aside for right now. Boyle, he's off to the box, 2 minutes for slashing on the power play for the Nashville Predators, giving them a 5-on-3 now for 35 seconds. But the Nashville Predators don't generate a single shot on goal for the entire power play. Way to stick up for your teammate. You could have buried your opponent on this opportunity. At 4:31 of the third period, though, Cousins picks up his 8th goal of the season, giving the Nashville Predators a 2-1 lead. It was Jeannot hitting the post on a quirky play. The rebound ends up with Cousins in the slot, and he finishes this play off easily. The Nashville Predators have a 2-1 lead in the third period on the road. At 5:22, Riddick comes up with a save on Raquel off of the rush. 7:38, Riddick another save, this time on Carter, but then at 8:53, Zucker scoring his 7th goal of the season, tying the game up 2 apiece. For Pittsburgh, he gets the backhand from the slot. Riddick is in too deep on the net. Looks like he could have come out and had a little bit of better positioning, cut down the angle on this one, but it makes no difference because the game is 2 apiece. We head to 10:37 in the third period. Riddick comes up with save after save after save after save on a lengthy Pittsburgh controlled domination shift. Plenty of possession. The Nashville Predators were just being ground into the ice. As a matter of fact, we've seen the Nashville Predators run this cycle game plenty of times, and now it's the Pittsburgh Penguins giving the Nashville Predators some of their own medicine. Frankly, I didn't care to see it one bit. 13 away to the third period. Rick comes up with a save on Rodriguez on the 2-on-1. 13:55 to Smith. Does come up with a glove save on Tolvanen, who just unleashed one of the hardest one-timers I think I have ever seen him take, and it was from the high slot, and I am really surprised that DeSmith was able to get the glove on this one. 16:45, Riddick comes up with a save on Crosby at close range. Then we see DeSmith come up with one more save on Luff before the end of regulation. Nashville Predators outshoot Pittsburgh 35-28 in regulation. We hit the overtime period, and we see some up and down, and the Nashville Predators have a 3-on-1, but unable to convert. That's when the Pittsburgh Penguins go to work, and Sidney Crosby ends up finishing the playoff from the side of the net, just absolutely wide open. How Sidney Crosby can get lost somehow in the offensive zone at a critical point in the game, I do not know, but I guess that's how he has ended up having a legendary Hall of Fame career, is because he does things like that in moments like this. Raquel comes up with a perfect shot pass. Crosby for the easy finish, giving Pittsburgh the 3-2 victory in overtime. 35-30 is the total shots on goal. So in the overtime session, Pittsburgh gets the only 2 shots on net. Crosby, that's his 28th goal. It was another milestone for Sidney Crosby as he continues getting milestone after milestone at this point in his career. For the Nashville Predators, listen, they got a point. They needed a point. They had to get a point, and that is the bottom line. At the end of the weekend, they only picked up 1 out of 4 points. Today, they had to get a point, but they had every opportunity. They had a lead in the third period, and in overtime, they had a 3-on-1, and they had opportunities to put the game away, and they just simply could not put the game away. So they end up dropping that extra point, and that allows Dallas to creep up on them just a little bit more. Dallas picks up the victory today, and now it's only a 1-point lead over Dallas. And again, the big deal about this particular part of the standings between finishing 7th and 8th is, do you want to end up in a first-round best-of-7 series with the Colorado Avalanche? For the Nashville Predators, a team that has controlled their destiny for the majority of the season, they probably do not want to find themselves in there. They are not a happy-go-lucky, just happy to be here team that's going to scrape by and get into the wild card team. This team has controlled their destiny for the majority of the season and have not been on the outside looking in. So for the Preds, they need to control and contain what the Dallas Stars are doing and hold off the Vegas Knights and play better hockey. 1 out of 4 points this weekend simply isn't going to get it done. Big save Dave Riddick in this game was 27 out of 30, getting the start on the back-to-back for the Nashville Predators over this weekend in Pittsburgh on the road. Was he too deep on the second goal of the game? The broadcast, the national broadcast on TNT, and Darren Pang seemed to think that he was a little bit too deep in net, but I've got my own starting goaltender here for the Renegades of Puck, and what happens between the pipes, it's within his domain. So I'll ask Nostradamus, was Riddick too deep? Was there anything possible he could have done better on that one? Was there anything possible he could have done on the overtime game winner against by Sidney Crosby? We also saw that question posed to Nostradamus by Teresa Walker from the High Council of Renegades on Twitter earlier this evening. So, without further ado, let me turn it over to the starting goaltender of the Renegades of Puck. You can find him on Twitter at GreekGoalie35, and you can watch him right now.
Thank you very much, Charlie. The Preds fall yet again in Pittsburgh PPG Paints Arena, a house of horrors. Now just 2 wins in 12 appearances in that arena, and more of the same today. They do pick up a point, a big point, backup goaltender in net, of course, and that is crucial going down the stretch here to find a playoff spot. Big save Dave did what he had to do. 27 out of 30. I have no problem with how he played tonight. He made some critical saves in the third period when the Pens were really starting to press hard. Early on in the game, he really didn't have much work, so hard to judge how his early performance was. But as the game went on, Pittsburgh was pressing to put more pressure on him. He did an excellent job holding up and getting the Preds at least a point out of this game. Don't really like the second goal. If you want to be really picky, the Zucker goal, it seemed like he had anticipated the play going to his right a little bit more. If you watch the replay again, he goes full on left to right, expecting a pass to go towards the side of the net. On that side, that gets him out of position. Zucker, of course, picks up the puck in the slot, and as Riddick is getting back into position, the puck slides in and beats him almost dead center of the middle of the net. So that's one that maybe you would want back, but again, the Preds do earn a point because of his play, so I can't really complain that much about Big Save Dave. Now, one of our favorites, Teresa Walker, was asking on Twitter why David Riddick was so far out of his net on the overtime goal. Well, quite simply, it was a mad scramble in front of the net. You had Mikael Granlund wiping out on the side of the net. You had Ekholm wiping out as well. Massive scramble to try to keep the Pens out of that high danger area, and everyone thought Raquel was shooting that puck. Once that pass came out to him, everybody was focused on that. So you see Riddick push out and try to cut off any angle he can. That was a high danger chance. It was maybe 20 feet in front of the net. So he came out to the top of his crease to cut off any angle. However, Sidney Crosby, of all people, sitting by his lonesome near the side of the net, and credit Raquel on this play as well. He had the awareness to see him on the side of the net instead of taking what would have been a very high danger chance, passing it over to Crosby and for an easy tap in for him. There was a delayed penalty also. Mikael Granlund took somebody down to the left side of David Riddick as well. So a whole lot of traffic in front, and that's how David Riddick a little bit farther out than maybe you would have liked. But he also has to have the awareness that there is a Penguins player along his crease area that is in a danger spot. So he could have stayed a little bit further out, but in a mad scramble, I certainly can't blame him for that. On the other end, Casey DeSmith was fantastic. 33 out of 35 for him on the day. Obviously, the big talk was the incredible save he had on the rebound opportunity by Tanner Jeannot. He had multiple big saves throughout the game and keeping the Penguins in it until they found their legs. Like I said, early on, it was all Predators. Yes, it was 1-1, but Nashville was dictating play for the most part. Penguins were not getting a whole lot of chances on David Riddick, so it was DeSmith keeping his team in it until they found their legs. Again, both teams on the second of back-to-back, so you're going to find mistakes on both ends of the ice. Casey DeSmith certainly earned this victory for the Pittsburgh Penguins. Next up for Nashville, the San Jose Sharks pay a visit to Bridgestone Arena. Last time these two teams played, of course, an 8-0 drubbing up in San Jose. Rest assured, the San Jose Sharks do remember that, so they have to be on full guard in this one. The Sharks are coming in very, very frustrated, of course. You have a change at the top at the general manager position. You have a team that has lost 6 straight games. They're very frustrated. They are a team that can be dangerous. They can play spoiler, but this is one of those games where the Preds need to step on their throats and take 2 points no matter what. You cannot take them lightly. James Reimer in net for the Sharks, in all likelihood. Career record 7-2 versus the Nashville Predators in his career. .928 save percentage, 2.23 goals against average. He's been fantastic against the Nashville Predators throughout his career. So that is an equalizer again for the San Jose Sharks, who are, again, not a great team. But when you have a goaltender that has those types of numbers against an opponent, you like your chances if you're San Jose.
He is the one and only Mostradamus, and I sure do appreciate Moss jumping in the trenches with the Renegades of Puck. Stick taps, love, and respect to you, my friend. Want to tell you about an incredible partner here for the Renegades of Puck, Strong Style Fitness. Well over 150 workouts now by a certified personal trainer, completely on demand and donation-based, which means they are free to each and every one of you Renegades of Puck. Whether you are just getting your first stretch and it's been a long time since you've gotten up off the couch, or you're throwing iron like a pro, Tracy can help you over at Strong Style Fitness. fitness. Search Strong Style Fit in social media on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter, or go to strongstylefit.com and find out everything that company and that brand is all about. Incredible partners and also incredible people. That's how we love to do it here in the trenches with the Renegades of Puck. I have seen the results, I've experienced the results, and I know plenty of other Renegades that have as well. Once you experience the results, go ahead and give Tracy a donation over at Strong Style Fitness. And if you can, go ahead, leave a comment while you're checking things out. She deserves it. She is putting in the no half-step and effort to try to help each and every one of you Renegades stay as healthy and happy as you can be. Strong Style Fitness. Let's talk about Matt Duchene scoring a goal in this game. His 38th goal this season now for the Nashville Predators. Let's remember that is tied for the team lead, and tied for the team lead this year means you are setting a franchise record for a single season. So currently tied for the single season franchise record for goals by a Nashville Predator is Philip Forsberg and now Matt Duchene with 38 on the season. I've talked about it once, twice, maybe three times before, but I'm going to hammer this emphasis one more time. I know that there were two very good Eastern Conference teams this weekend in the Florida Panthers and the Pittsburgh Penguins, but you had opportunities to win both of these games, and coming out with only 1 point out of a possible 4 is simply not good enough. Now with 10 games to go, I know that John Hines is not happy. We know that he was bordering on thinking that some effort might have been near the edge of half-stepping over this weekend, so we will continue tracking that here in the trenches with the Renegades of Puck. But for the Nashville Predators, they have absolutely on this 5-game homestand have to come up much bigger than they have. I want to get some analysis and I want to get some opinions, and I absolutely want to hear from Sean C. Smith from ontheforecheck.com. You can find him on Twitter at SCSOTF, and you can watch him right here on Renegades of Puck TV. He's the one and only Sean C. Smith.
Thanks, Charlie. Hey, Renegades. Sean C. Smith. Let's talk a little bit about the Penguins game. And I want to do this. We've done this before. I think it merits coming back and flipping the old quarter of destiny here. We've got good to talk about. We've got bad to talk about. We'll flip the coin to see what goes first. Let's make heads. We'll start with good. Tails. We'll start with bad. And I'm not even going to try to catch this. Oh, look, it's heads. We're going to start with good. That means we'll have to finish up with bad. But let's talk about a couple of good things that I saw in this game against the Penguins. The first thing I want to say is this. The Predators are playing in the second half of a back-to-back. A back-to-back where the second game starts less than 24 hours after the previous game started. So this is a really quick turnaround for the Predators, number one. Number two, there's travel involved. They had to finish the game the night before, get on a plane, get to Pittsburgh, get set up, go play a game less than 24 hours. Less than 24 hours before the previous game started. And that to me, that's crazy. I mean, if you want to set up a team for failure, I think that's how you do it, as you set a schedule like that. That may not even be part of the collective bargaining agreement, but the reality is, because this is rescheduled game time from all the COVID problems earlier in the season, there's going to be stuff like this that pops up. Now, we're talking about the good. Despite all of that, they still played a really solid game. I don't think you can look at this game and take away from it this reaction that the Predators had a horrible game. They controlled the pace of play for a very long time. They really handled their business very well, considering what they were up against when it comes to the travel and just the back-to-back games just being so close to one another. I mean, that's really just what a slog. If you imagine the physical exertion it takes on these guys to even stay on the ice for 3 minutes, as it was showing Roman Josi did a few times. You know, this is playing a full game, then turning around and playing another entire game less than 24 hours later. That's impressive to me. If nothing else, it speaks volumes about these athletes and what incredible specimens they are of just peak physical conditioning to be able to go out there and play like that. To me, that's impressive. And again, I reiterate, we are talking about the good first, which means we're going to have to end with the bad. The other good thing I'll say is this. This was a playoff-bound team. I've talked to you guys in the past about the difference between Predators playing against playoff-bound teams and playing against teams that are dead in the water. The Predators, for whatever reason, have struggled against the dead-in-the-water teams and thrived against the teams that are playoff-bound. And despite the outcome being a one-loser point game, the reality is they put up a really good fight, and they played this team really hard, and that's exactly what you want to see. Now, one game and a loss, an overtime loss, it is what it is, but you have to imagine that if this were stretched out over a 7-game series, the Predators would have played very well. And I think that's a very good thing, because if you look down the stretch at what's coming. The Predators have 10 games left. 7 of those games are against playoff-bound teams. And so if you're looking for the Predators to continue that streak of playing very well against playoff-bound teams, I think you're going to keep seeing more of that. And again, looking back at the Panthers game, that was a lopsided loss only because of the 2 empty net goals at the end. The game was very close to being tied as the game ended. It just, for whatever reason, Yossi didn't hit that empty net that he had the opportunity at when Spencer Knight was out of it. But the reality is it very could have easily gone into an overtime situation as well. So those are the good things. I think the Predators played a good, strong game, and I know we're going to talk about this one special thing that happened that was very, very bad later, but I want to point out in the good part of this segment that if it takes really doing something rough and ugly to throw the Predators off, that tells you that they're pretty well suited for rough games, because even despite what we're going to talk about here in a minute, and I think you know what it is at this stage in the game, they still played a very hard game. They still played right up until the end. They tied it up. They went into overtime. And, the puck didn't bounce the way you wanted it to in that situation. But let's move over and talk about the bad. Here's the bad. The Predators play a physically aggressive style of hockey. And I think if you look at what's coming down the stretch, these last 10 games, I think you're going to expect to start seeing some pretty intense physical hockey where you're going to see some fights. You're going to see that get up in your face and make you earn every inch of ice style games. Now, where I have a little bit of concern, because we're talking about the bad here, is that if you push hard enough, sometimes people react in an unpredictable way. And that's exactly what you saw happen in the situation with Evgeny Malkin there against Mark Borowiecki. Now, realistically, I don't think Borowiecki was doing anything so horrifically rotten to him that anything he did was merited. But the problem is that this is an aggressive game. It can be violent, and sometimes things like that happen. I don't like it. Malkin's probably, I would assume, is going to get some kind of suspension for that, but realistically, the Penguins are not a team the Predators are going to face going forward, and the only potential chance they have to meet up again this season is if they meet each other once again in the Stanley Cup final. And I don't know if that's going to happen on either end, but this isn't a team that you really need to be worried about. Yeah, if they lose Malkin for a few games, that might hurt their bottom line when it comes to staying in a wild card position, but realistically, the Penguins are not the Predators' concern right now. It's all of these other Central Division teams that they're going to face that are surging, that are putting up a lot of points. And quite frankly, some of those teams, if you think back to matches against Colorado, they're ready to play extremely physical games. Colorado's a big team. The Wild didn't play as well physically as they'd hoped to, I'm sure, when they started what they started against the Predators, but the Predators will see them again. So you have to understand, moving forward, as you get closer and closer to the playoffs, you're probably going to start seeing games that are getting called more and more like playoff games. That means the Predators aren't going to take, hopefully, as many penalties for some of the minor stuff they happen to get called for a lot. But the reality is, if the Predators are pushing and they're playing that in-your-face, physically aggressive game, there's probably going to be a little bit more mixing it up than normal. And what I think you might unfortunately see is that if you focus on throwing the other team off by being pretty rough and aggressive, the other team might figure out that it's going to take some kind of transgression, something you don't want to see happen to throw the Predators off. And I don't want to see them start getting targeted for that kind of stuff. Now, the other downside here, and let's be realistic, is the Predators, as John Hines said, have been playing average hockey, although I think they played a great game against the Penguins. And you can't win if you play average. And we've been saying for a few weeks now, Renegades, that the Predators have a big week coming up. They need to pile up a bunch of wins, and that should make the situation a lot easier for them. But unfortunately, as they've been going the past couple of weeks, the return has been kind of average, and it's not putting them in a situation where they're on solid footing for the playoffs. So it looks like down the stretch, especially, again, you've got 7 big games coming up against playoff-bound opponents. You're going to want to see the Predators really try to put some distance to where they are in a solid playoff spot. I think they can do it. I think the game they played against the Penguins, if that's the way they play moving forward, despite the fact that it ended in an overtime loss, then I think the Predators are going to be just fine. Right now they've got about a 90% chance of making it to the playoffs according to Money Puck, and I'm pretty sure they're going to make it happen. I know you feel the same way, Renegades, but as you get down the home stretch like this, it's always going to be normal to feel a little bit nervous. But even though we're talking about the bad, let's end on a high note and say that hopefully the Predators will do what they need to do this week with 4 big games coming up, 4 of their last 10 games, to make that something that we fans don't have to worry about from here on out. And with that, Charlie, I'm going to send it back over to you.
You can find him on Twitter at SCSOTF from ontheforecheck.com. He's the one and only Sean C. Smith. And I appreciate Sean and his entire clan jumping in the trenches with the Renegades of Puck. Stripe Digital Solutions is another incredible partner of the Renegades of Puck, and I am so thankful to have Stripe Digital Solutions on my team. The logo on the wall behind me, this t-shirt that I am wearing in studio right now in the bunker, the website that you check out, renegadesofpuck.com, and my social media plan and brand building, all helped and assisted by Stripe Digital Solutions. In the current modern business world, if you are a small business, it is nearly impossible to handle all of the small individual things that you need to handle to make your business thrive and grow in what is the modern business world. That's where Stripe Digital Solutions comes in. An entire team dedicated to helping you build your brand. That's exactly what Stripe Digital Solutions does. That's exactly what they've done for me. That's exactly what they can do for you as well. I encourage you to go to stripedigitalsolutions.com or social media, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and search out Stripe Digital Solutions. Incredible people, incredible partners, and they do an incredible job. Believe me, I'm assisted by their incredible otherworldly art every single day. I can't say enough, but I'll try about Stripe Digital Solutions. Let me give you a couple of numbers from the box score before we turn it over to the rest of the numbers and the Renegade Analytics desk. Nick Cousins scored a goal in this game. Matt Duchene also scored a goal in this game, as we've already discussed. Your assists go to Mikhail Granlund, and that is it in this game because Nick Cousins ended up with an unassisted goal. Shots on goal. Team leader in this game, Matt Duchene, with 5. We had 3 players with 4, and they were Tomasino and the captain, Roman Josi, in hits. It was a physical game out there at times. Luzon with 7 hits in this game. We've talked about that a couple times over the last episodes. He's representing himself quite well since being traded to the Nashville Predators, and he did a good job tonight filling in with Roman Josi for a little while. Tanner Jeannot also had 5 hits, including one that knocked Letang completely out of his skates, and Philip Forsberg also delivered 4 hits in this game. Time on ice leaders out of the forward grouping, Mikhail Granlund, no shock at all. 21:58 total time on ice. Other than that, John Hines had Matt Duchene at 19:06 and kept the rest of the forwards at a fairly reasonable time on the second night of back-to-backs. The captain, Roman Josi, otherworldly, 29:45, including some of the longest shifts you'll see of the entire season out there during this game. It didn't look like he was slowing down or getting tired at all towards the end of this game. Incredible. He played 55 minutes over the last 24 hours of hockey. So absolutely incredible right there for the captain, Roman Josi. And of course, Big Dave saved Riddick in this game, 27 out of 30. Of course, Nostradamus gave you some analysis right there. I gave you my opinion on that. And for a big save Dave, I don't know how many more starts he's going to get down the stretch, unless the Nashville Predators, of course, find a way to clinch a playoff spot and find a way to clinch a playoff spot early. Let's go over to Renegade Analytics Desk and let's hear from Brian Baston. Again, I want to say thank you to Brian Baston for sharing his words on his special commentary on his previous appearance on the last episode of Renegades of Puck TV on episode number 633. If you didn't have an opportunity to hear Brian's words, I encourage each and every one of you to go back and please listen to what Brian has to say. Brian's got an update not only on the Renegade Analytics, but also on the Nashville Predators magic number for the playoffs. You can find him on Twitter at Brian Baston. You can check out his work and see his charts at ontheforecheck.com, and you can watch him right now on Renegades of Puck TV.
Hey, thanks a lot, Charlie. Once again, second night in a row, this is Brian Baston at the Renegade Analytics Desk, and once again, I'm here to talk to you about the playoff magic number for your Nashville Predators. Now, obviously, the game didn't go quite as well as they had hoped, dropping their second game in a row in 2 days. Tonight, in overtime at least, so they gained a point against the Pittsburgh Penguins. We don't have to talk about who scored points on all their goals. We don't have to acknowledge it. If it does, we don't talk about it. It doesn't exist, right? Can't hurt us. But let's talk about the playoff magic number. So, Again, one of the rules about the magic number is it can never go up. It's always going to stay the same or go down. And tonight, it went down by 1 point because they did score. Now, we look at the rest of the Central Division and the Western Conference to look and see how the playoff race is shaping up. We saw that Minnesota had a crazy game. They ended up coming back and winning, scoring 5 unanswered goals just in the first period, I believe, which was incredible, pushing their point total. They still sit in third in the Central Division, and they're sitting at 92 points. Nashville, with 87 points, is going to have a rough time trying to catch up with them with just 10 games remaining, especially since Minnesota has 3 games in hand. Another thing that wasn't too great was seeing Dallas come back and beat the Chicago Blackhawks. It's now currently sitting at 86 points, or will be at 86 points, right behind the Nashville Predators. Thankfully, that 1 point that they got from the Pittsburgh matchup did help them keep their spot in the first wild card, but every game from this point on will matter a lot. Vegas was idle today, and we see they are still at 84 points, and so they still remain the unofficial line for the Nashville Predators to make the playoffs. Now, looking down the schedule, down the standings just a little bit, tonight was one of the things Nashville could have accomplished was eliminating being passed by Anaheim, essentially eliminating them from being a fellow playoff contender. And Anaheim can currently max out with 9 games remaining, can max out at 88 points, and Nashville sits at 87. So a win, any points next game will basically take Anaheim out of the race, and Nashville can narrow their focus a little bit. Vegas is going to be interesting to watch because the Pacific Division, the third place Los Angeles Kings, who did not do their job tonight against the Stars, sit with 86 points, and Vegas sits just 2 points behind with the same number of games. So it's going to be very interesting. That spot in the Pacific is going to be far more up for grabs than the third place spot in the Central Division, but Nashville still sits in control of their own destiny for the first wild card spot, which is important because most likely that keeps them from playing the Colorado Avalanche in the first round. And that is the playoff magic number update for you from the Renegade Analytics Desk. Back to you, Charlie.
You can find him on Twitter at Brian Basson. You can check out his charts at ontheforecheck.com. He's got the numbers you need to know. He is the one and only Brian Basson. Sick tax, love, and respect to you, Brian. Sure to appreciate you jumping in the trenches with the Renegades of Puck and crunching those numbers. Before we head on out of the bunker for this evening, just want to wrap up one more time by saying for the Nashville Predators, it's bordering on half-stepping as of late. And with 10 games to go in the season, you have to play better than the Dallas Stars down the stretch if you want to hold on to that number 7 spot. It's getting to a point where getting that automatic qualifying spot in the number 3 spot is getting to be out of reach for the Nashville Predators. No, it is not impossible, and they are still mathematically within reach of that. But are they going to be able to play significant enough hockey over the final 10 games of the season? Are they going to be able to accrue the majority of the 20 points? Now, Brian Baston's going to break it down again, show after show after show, and right now it's looking like as long as the Nashville Predators can pick up 2/3 of their points, they're going to be able to control their own destiny and secure that playoff spot. Now, the Vegas Golden Knights also have less games to play than the Nashville Predators, but they have seriously got to start full stepping. It is time for no half stepping, as we like to say around here in the bunker. Now, before I head on out of here, I just once again want to say thank you so much to everybody. We have been receiving so much support as of late, and we sure do appreciate it. It is the no half-stepping time of season. We always experience a bump in the ratings, and we like to use that as a springboard to bring in new renegades, new listeners. So please, if you know a renegade out there and they're not already aware of the show, make them aware of the show. Let them know about it. Spread the links around and let them know exactly what's going on over here. We're building a force for positivity in the hockey community, my good renegades, and we need as many people as possible to handle the absolute gigantic toxic community that already exists out there. I'm not trying to take anything down. I'm just trying to change it from within. And the more renegades that we have, the quicker and the better we can do that. A hockey community is only good when it's for every single one of us, and we can be a thriving hockey community together. I promise you, renegades, join me in the trenches. We can do this together. Speaking of doing this together, in the spirit of cooperation, to close out the show with the Renegades of Puck, 2 of my favorite members of the High Council of Renegades. No, I don't play favorites. They're all my favorites, but I happen to love these 2 very much. It is, of course, the Ultimate One and the Ultimate Courtney. Their segment was so good on the last episode of Renegades of Puck TV, I wanted to run it back and play it to close the show for a second consecutive time. It's fairly important on this particular episode with the next upcoming game for the Nashville Predators. Stick taps, love, and respect, renegades. I sure do appreciate and love every one of you.
Thanks, Charlie. Well, it's Hockey Fights Cancer Week, and it's Pride Week with the Nashville Predators. Now, normally, I'm the one ranting and raving and pitching a fit and putting everything on blast, but today's not my platform. I'm not a survivor. I'm not really a part of the Alphabet Mafia. I am an ally. But I wanted to give my time to someone who's both a survivor and a member of the LGBTQ community. And that, of course, is the Renegade sitting to my left. So the floor is yours. Take it away.
Hi, guys. You may know me as Courtney. You may know me as the Ultimate First Lady, or you may just know me by my Twitter handle, which is @StorybookColors. I am a proud, longstanding member of the High Council of Renegades, as well as a big supporter of Nashville Predators hockey. And I am also a cervical cancer survivor and a member of the LGBTQ community. I am very proudly and out as a bisexual, gender fluid person. And I wanted to say thank you to the Renegades and to the Predators community at large for all of their efforts with Hockey Fights Cancer, with Hockey is for Everyone, and just with all of these events that they're doing in the upcoming weeks. I know that the Preds community works really hard to be inclusive and welcoming of people from all walks of life, of all types, and it does mean a lot as a member of that community to see myself and others like me represented. So thank you guys so much for everything. And please always remember that the Renegades are always supportive of the community and always welcoming to anyone who may be looking for their place within the hockey community. The Renegades are open to all.
Isn't she great? We are all inclusive. We are all welcoming. We are all family. Whether you feel you're part of a small community, a large community, whether you are the popular jock or the outcast in high school, the Renegades are always about inclusivity, and we will stand with you. Hockey is and should be for everyone.